I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. So you went through Good Friday, and you saw that Jesus died for all your sins, the cruel, terrible pain that he endured for us in saving us. And you experienced the jubilation of Easter morning, that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. He is risen indeed. Alleluia. And you wake up, and it's Monday morning. Back to work, back to school, back to life. Sort of, how do you not have an Easter hangover? Well, today, we're going to discuss just a touch about the resurrection and how it changes the universe that we live in, how it changes everything about our daily life. We are no longer in the same situation as we were before. We are no longer, this is not the same stuff, a different day, or however the expression goes. Today is a new day. Today is a day in which Jesus died for us and he rose again. Today is an Easter day. And not just because it's Easter Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, but because today is another day to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. The death and resurrection of Christ change everything about our world. They tell us that our world is not happenstance or accident. We're not lucky one day. The ball doesn't bounce our way one day and then not our way the next. That's the way of this world. No, the death and resurrection of Christ changes everything about who we are and how we stand before God. We are people for whom Christ died. Each of us. His death and resurrection is true, whether we believe it or not, but we do believe it. We are certain that he died for us and he rose for us, and that gives meaning to everything that we do. We wake up in the morning because Christ died and rose again for us. We say our prayers. We go about our tasks. We go to school and to work, or whatever the Lord has given us to do, because the one who died on Good Friday rose again. We study, we train, we work as hard as possible because of the one who died on Good Friday rose again. We are kind to others, picking up the 10 Commandments and reading them, not for ourselves, but for others, because Jesus died and rose again. Everything about our day is about the death and resurrection of Christ. He died, he rose, and that gives everything meaning. Because God is not mad at us. He should be, because of all the bad stuff we've done. But because of the death of Christ, because of the resurrection of Christ, we know for certain that no matter what happens to us in this world, God's going to work it out for our good. The worst evil that has ever befallen anyone, the crucifixion of Christ, ended in the resurrection of Christ. And the most that could happen to us in this world, the worst thing that could happen to us in this world, death, has been swallowed up by the same Jesus who suffered on Good Friday. He rose again from the dead, and we too shall rise. And that is a reality that is not only true on the last day, but it is true today, this minute, this hour. Everything we do as people for whom Christ died and for whom Christ rose. It is not enough that he died and he rose again, but that he rose and he died and rose for us and for our salvation. And so as you go about this week, don't suffer the hangover. Let the only thing that's hung over be your sins. Leave them behind. Leave them on Good Friday, dead in the tomb. Raised to new life again, a life no longer spent the way it was before. Because whether you feel like Jesus died and rose for you, he did die and rise again for you. And that historic fact has changed everything about you. Do everything that you can today. Not for yourself, not to save yourself, but because Christ died and rose again. Contemplate how that gives your day meaning. Leave behind the old and live in the resurrection of Jesus. For very soon, there'll be no more days and only him. And that, well, that'll be the best day there has ever been. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, celebrating the resurrection of Christ. And this has been another Higher Things video short.